have a cash buyer. So we need to use words that make us feel comfortable. Because if I say I'm a cash buyer, that doesn't have quite the same credibility as I'm a cash buyer. I have access to cash. Now, notice I followed it up. I am a cash buyer. I have access to cash. For those of you that don't have the cash, could you say that and feel comfortable without stuttering? Yes. Excellent. Now, the other part about it is that do you have a network of people who can purchase houses cash? Yes. Everybody in the room does. All right, those last set of slides that were up there, one of the things that Rock didn't bring up was he was describing what he and I are buying right now. So those of you that happen to have a handout, if you want to reflect upon that, you will see what we are buying cash now. Does that make sense? Yes. So you do have cash buyers if you can fit that criteria. 30 miles of Atlanta. How many of you can hit that criteria? All right, so what we want to do is make sure that you feel comfortable using the words and you can have credibility. All right, now, a lot of you got kind of freaked out when Rock said, I'll give you $45,000 for your house, I'll give you $40,000 for your house, wait a minute, I can only give you $30,000 for your house. How many people were like, oh no, right, you stuttered with that one. Understand that what I say is, based on the information we have talked about now, I can give you $45,000. When I ride out there and I see the property, I can say, whoa, you and I didn't talk about the waterfall in the master bedroom when it rains. So I've got to adjust my price. We didn't talk about the termite damage. I need to adjust my price. Is that something fair? Yeah. Rather than going in and saying, I stuck my foot in my mouth, I really can't go ahead with this, I'm just going to kind of sneak away and not return any phone calls. Does that integrity? Yeah. No. If you say you're going to call somebody back, guess what? You need to call them back, even to give them bad news. Because if you know in your heart of hearts that you're never ever going to call them back, do yourself a favor. Tell them. Because who's the person you're lying to? Them or you? You're lying to yourself. So if you're lying to yourself and you can't trust yourself in real estate, what are you going to do? Nothing. You see how that works? So let's use the right kind of words that make us feel comfortable and then follow through on those words. All right? So let's talk about wholesaling. All right? Anybody got an idea of what wholesaling is? Okay, what is it?
Buy low and sell low.
Buy low and sell low? No, I got to have a profit. How about buy low, sell a little bit higher? Okay. All right. Well, what it is controlling the property. What that means is that you're not on title, you're not on tenants, you're not on toilets. Is that okay? Yeah. All right. But we have sheets of paper. Well, wholesale is selling paper, not houses. How many of you believe that a sheet of paper can be worth $20,000? Oh, we got some believers in the room. All right. The next thing is that you are the individual that comes up with the paperwork. You're a transactional coordinator. Very important. You control the property. You can control the property with an option. You can control the property with a lease. You can control the property with a contract. Any one of those will work. All right. The other thing is that you're going to have to find somebody that's going to bring the cash. Now, do we have to have people that bring cash? No. We can sell these retail. If we find an individual that likes the home and wants to live there, we can sell it to them. All right, now it's going to take a little bit longer process. So we as great transactional coordinators need to think about who is the end buyer. I will show you how I come up with that a little bit later. The other part of it is that you never take title. All you do is set it up. You set up so that the other person, the takeout buyer, can win. Now understand that if you suck all the profit out of the transaction, the probability that you're going to be able to sell it to somebody else is slim. You got to leave enough juice in it, profit, and make it worthwhile to that other individual to let them move in. And I'll give you parameters for that a little bit later. All right? So, any questions on this right now? Pretty simple stuff, isn't it? Yeah. Easy to follow. This is a system. This is what you're going to do. So, let's talk about the advantages and disadvantages so you can develop a business model. First off, we got wholesale, retail, and holding. Retail is buy, fix, and sell. Holding is slumlords, okay? Now, the reason I bring this up is that I no longer serve on jury duty. The reason I no longer serve on jury duty is that when I'm being selected for jury duty and they ask me what my vocation is, I say I'm a slumlord. It works. All right, here's the advantages. Every one of you can read. I want you to understand that this is the wealth model right here. These two right here give you definitely cash. The problem with them is that they're a job. You need to have a system set up so that you can be at the beach and still be wholesaling houses. Is that okay? Yeah. All right. So let's talk about the disadvantages. All right, you need to buy. It is a job. The other part about it is that you need some financing or cash or private money or hard money when you're doing the retailing. And also the money doesn't come back quite as fast. Notice that the wholesale is a very low risk, meaning that the only thing that you're going to have at risk is, number one, time. The second thing that you're going to have at risk is your earnest money. Now, for me, my earnest money is typically $20. Now, I want you to know that there is somebody that I'm coaching and mentoring, and they only put down 10. I hate it when they learn from me because they make me look bad. I'm spending twice as much money on earnest money as they are. All right. And by the way, earnest money in Georgia, all right, those of you that are realtors in the room, put your fingers in your ear. In Georgia, it is not a law that you have to have earnest money. Understand that the reason realtors ask you for a huge amount of earnest money is this. How many of you will follow your money to the closing table? Yeah. If you have a high amount of risk, will you follow your money to the closing table? Definitely. So the point is that you as an investor, you're going to wear an investor hat when you're buying, and you're going to wear a realtor hat when you're selling. And that's a very important distinction. All right, holding. You got to have management. How many of you just really enjoy being woken up in the middle of the night with somebody that has let their water run? Okay, I agree. That is not an exciting thing. So we might want to put into our numbers management, so somebody else has to take that headache. The other thing is that you've got to have some type of cash, money, private money, credit, that sort of thing. You're also going to have ongoing maintenance and repairs. It's not a bad thing, it's just a business model. I happen to have a portfolio. I like my portfolio. My portfolio serves me well. So let me talk to you just about this. Let me tell you a little bit about who I am and what I do. Well, the first thing is that I realized just recently that I became a lender at 10 years of age. I was a hard money lender. What happened was this. I had money because I got an allowance. I was frugal. I saved my money. So what happened was I had a wad of money because I was going to go shopping with my mom. Well, my mom were out. I couldn't find anything I wanted to spend my money on. My mother spent too much money that day, and she knew that I had cash. So when she said, "Give me your money," I said, "How much do I get back?" So I became a hard money lender. And she was my only customer. I did have a very nice ledger, and interest was always ticking. All right, so then what happened was that at the age of about 12, I became a newspaper. Through newspapers. But the thing about it was that I was very good at mechanics. I can fix things. So what happened was I would go by, as a newspaper boy and having a route, I would go by and find bicycles in trash piles. And then I would get my dad's Mercedes, and he and I would go trash picking. And then we'd load them in, and I would repair them and fix them. I'd take parts from one and cannibalize them, put them into another, and I started selling bicycles to other newspaper boys. So I had a business. So then what happened was that after I turned about 18, I went to college. I had a WSI, which happens to be a certificate for water safety, and I became a business owner in college because I got a group of lifeguards and I sent them out on summer jobs, and I was a manager of lifeguards. Now, I don't know about you, but some lifeguards look really good. And those are the ones I wanted to work with. All right, so then what happened was I got a job. And I thought my career was going to be great. I moved to Atlanta. I got in with a Fortune 500 company. They were bought out, and what happened was that particular industry, I was in industrial medicine. I had been working in a hospital, but I was in industrial medicine. They downsized it. That flooded the market with a whole bunch of people that looked like me, smelled like me, tasted like me, and had the same kind of qualifications as me. So what happened? The job market was flooded. I couldn't find a job. I became an entrepreneur. I made a decision that I was never, ever going to let that happen again under any circumstances. And the only way that I could guarantee it is by becoming an entrepreneur, which meant I had to change my mindset. By the way, I was very negative at that point in my life. I was a pessimist. I was pragmatic. It wasn't a pretty sight. So I went into real estate. I was a realtor for a while. I was a realtor during the Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan era, and that happened to be 18%. And I was doing deals. And those individuals trained me because we didn't have books and tapes back then. All right, so I learned by the seat of my pants. I learned that rejection is not a bad thing. And you're going to get rejected. So I'm going to talk to you about that in just a moment. All right, here is some of the things that you should be